CM Punk entered 2012 already on top, carrying the WWE Championship into the new year as the voice of the voiceless.
Really wish like they didn't turn him heel from Vince McMahon needing the heel babyface dynamic going on.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
It's Amaj back at another video. Today we're about to be getting into a video by Wrestle Mafia. Video's gonna be on WWE in 2012 was actually goated. I'm not gonna lie, I really agree with that sentiment. I really agree with that sentiment because there's a lot of great variables at play around this time. There was on the screen Rock versus John Cena, once in a lifetime, even though they did it again like the next year in 2013. That shit was annoying, but we got John versus The Rock out of it. And you know, CM Punk was on his little shit this year. I loved it. I love the 2012 CM Punk run, and he was the WWE champion. And we got the rise of the Shield. Oh my god, bro, one of the best debuts and one of the best debuts and one of the best like dominations for like a trio like we ever witnessed in like recent times. There was actually one of the goated groups. Yeah, we got that, and we have Dolph. I think we had Dolph Ziggler champion around this year, I think. And then we had like Daniel Bryan around. I think he was world champion. I don't know if it was around this year. I think it was. Yeah. Because I remember him, CM Punk, and Zack Ryder was like all champions around this time. Because I remember they came out to celebrate. But yeah, we had a lot of great variables at play. This is like really like a good height of being like a wrestling fan. Actually, we had The Rock, and we had like all the people that were like coming back around this time. But let's just get into it. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the videos, and if you've been enjoying the wrestling videos, don't forget to like don't be silent. Just suggest something, man. And if you like discussions, like we be discussing it and along in the comments at times when I see people comment. I like to see people comment on the videos, and I be like commenting on the videos because I like discussing wrestling. But let's just get into the video. And let's get it.
When The Rock and John Cena collided at WrestleMania, when we witnessed the end of an era, when CM Punk was on a generational title run, when Brock Lesnar returned and the Shield debuted, when Chris Jericho introduced the flashy jacket, while Daniel Bryan lit the revolution on the Yes movement. And these are just some of the things that defined the wild.
I'm not gonna, damn, I'm not gonna cap. I don't know how I forgot about Brock Lesnar coming back. I don't know how I forgot about the other variables, man. See, there's a lot of great shit around this time.
Year of 2012. When most people think of the greatest years in WWE, they think of the late 90s during the Attitude Era or the peak years of the Ruthless Aggression Era during the mid-2000s. However, WWE in 2012 might be the most underrated year in the company's history. Not only was the top of the card loaded with names like Punk, Cena, and Lesnar, but we also had strong mid-card acts, rising stars, and wild storylines that kept the product hot all year long. So what exactly made 2012 special? What were the matches, feuds, and moments that defined this year? And how does WWE in 2012 compare to the company today? Let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit.
How does it compare? Like, I'll give a short answer right here. It now kind of really, well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, creatively, it kind of really doesn't compare, but like, I feel like it kind of is on par sometimes throughout it with 2012 if WWE is doing something right.
Is it the goated year of 2012? When you think of 2012, you think of WrestleMania 28. And when you think of WrestleMania 28, you think of John Cena versus The Rock, a battle of two generations, a dream match for the ages, and a year-long build. The match was made official on the Raw after WrestleMania 27, but the build truly picked up in the first quarter of 2012. Cena brought back his rapper persona for a night, while Rock brought out his guitar. Cena dissed Rock's tattoos, while the Great One threw Cena's merch into Boston Lake. Cena berated Rock for turning his back on the fans and leaving for Hollywood, while the Brahma Bull retaliated the way only he can and had the fans chant.
You know what's crazy in a sense? Like, John Cena kind of redacted this, like, thing about him, you know, like, turning his back on the fans and going to Hollywood. Because, like, it's basically what John Cena is pursuing right now. And, like, I think he said he had a talk man to man with him and, like, kind of apologized. Because, like, he really did say it's hard to, you know, balance that. Because, like, we seen him do this in his later years. But like around this time, it was really kind of great to see the build between two figures. Like we this is like the first time we kind of like see. Well, no. I wouldn't say that because it happened with Hulk Hogan and The Rock actually. But like, well, I can say probably the second time, like two like the crazy uber baby faces, like that can actually talk on the mic, just going back and forth with each other.
His name. By the time WrestleMania 28 arrived in Miami, the match had been positioned as the biggest WrestleMania main event in ages. The whole world was watching. Most fans expected The Rock to pass the torch to Cena, but that's not what happened. The crowd was electric from the moment the bell rang, and Rock and Cena went back and forth, exchanging blows and finishers. In the final stretch, Cena got a little too confident, mocking The Rock's people's elbow, and the Great One countered with a rock bottom. When the dust settled, it was The Rock standing tall, while Cena sat on the ramp looking on in frustration. The torch stayed exactly where it was. Cena lost the narrative that had been built around him for an entire year and spent the rest of 2012 looking for ways to prove himself, while the man...
And in 2012, bro, like this was like the year Cena was taking crazy L's, bro.
Man who beat him was already gone, off to film another movie. But while Cena and Rock closed the show at WrestleMania, that same night, we also saw the end of an era. The Undertaker and Triple H had wrestled the year before at WrestleMania 27, but while the Dead Man won that match, it was the Game who walked out on his own 2 feet. That humiliation of having to be carried out after the match haunted Taker for a year, and he challenged Triple H for a rematch at WrestleMania 28. However, the Game declined the challenge, using his new executive role as an excuse. It wasn't until Taker invoked Triple H's best friend Shawn Michaels' name that the Game got provoked enough to accept the challenge. The match was made official for Mania inside Hell in a Cell, and standing in the middle of it as the special guest referee was Shawn Michaels. The same Shawn Michaels who had come within seconds of ending the streak himself 2 years earlier. The same Shawn Michaels who Triple H called his best friend. His presence elevated the tension and emotional stakes of the match to another level. Every count.
Man, this was like great ass storytelling, bro. Like they all had a history with each other. They wasn't on no random shit. It was just like beautiful storytelling. Like it really, and it cementified it with like they all just like kind of walked out with each other.
Every decision he made inside that cell carried history, loyalty, and doubt all at once. The build leaned hard into finality. This was sold as the third and last match between these two, the closing chapter of a rivalry that had spanned over a decade. Triple H talked about ending the streak as a mercy, not a triumph. The Undertaker talked about it as the one thing nobody could ever take from him. When WrestleMania arrived, it was time for war. Triple H made his grand entrance first. Then, The Undertaker arrived, taking off his hood and revealing a new look. While the two men stared each other down with Shawn Michaels looking on, the cell got lowered. Inside the cell, the two men beat each other down with everything they had. The moment everyone remembers came late, after Triple H connected with a pedigree following a sweet chin music, and for a few seconds, the entire world believed the streak was finally over. It was one of the most convincing false finishes the company had ever produced. But The Undertaker kicked out, found one more...
That's what, yeah, that was actually fucking crazy, bro. I was so fucking hyped for that moment. I thought Triple H was actually about to do it. Because up to this point, I always just had like, you know, doubts when people always face The Undertaker. And we already knew, like, you know, everybody has doubts. We kind of don't want the streak to end. For me, when I think about this, this is like the like real like kind of prime of these two wrestlers, like really like kind of last really wrestling and like really seeing they can like really kind of go. I don't know, like Triple H put on great matches, you know, later on throughout the 2010s. But like I still look at this as his like his one good better match, and especially same for the Undertaker, because like Undertaker went downhill in like, you know, quality with this, because like, well, we learned always because like he went through a lot of injuries, especially wrestling that long of a career.
Burst of strength and put Triple H away to push the streak to 20-0. What made the moment hit even harder came after the bell. Triple H, Michaels, and Undertaker stood together on the stage, exhausted and embracing like men who had been through a war together. It felt like a goodbye. Many assumed this really was it for The Undertaker, that no future match could ever top what had just happened inside that cell. He would prove them wrong eventually, but in that moment, it felt like the closing of a legacy. But while that legacy was being celebrated on the grandest stage, a very different kind of story was unfolding around the WWE Championship.
CM Punk.
CM Punk entered 2012 already on top, carrying the WWE Championship into the new year as the voice of the voiceless. Going into WrestleMania 28, Punk was involved in a deeply personal feud with Chris Jericho, and the two had a solid match on the grandest stage of them all. Their rematch at Extreme Rules was even more brutal and marked the end of the rivalry. Punk had already defended the title against names like Alberto Del Rio, Dolph Ziggler, and Daniel Bryan, But by the time summer rolled around, Punk's reign felt overshadowed by stars like Cena and Rock, and the office kept treating him like an afterthought and a
Yeah, and honestly, I really hate that they kept doing that, bro. Like, if you have like CM Punk, this figure that is really over, and you keep making him play second fiddle, I know this is always kind of like looked upon because this is like a really popular reign, honestly. And like it kind of gave us like the height of like the cult of personality entrance, bro. When he switched to this, I still love this Fire Burns, his old song, but like I still like Cult of Personality better, bro. It just got too much aura when he comes out with that entrance. And and honestly, how I feel about this whole feud, I really wish like they didn't turn him heel from like, like at the end of it. I know we got CM Punk versus the Rock after this, but like that was just him dropping the championship, and that was just Vince McMahon trying to appease to a part timer, and that was just Vince McMahon needing the heel babyface dynamic going on.
transitional champion. That frustration built for months, and the boiling point arrived at Raw 1000 in July, on a night already loaded with major moments. The Rock made his return that night too, making the save for John Cena after an attack by the Big Show. But just as The Rock turned around, CM Punk nailed him with a clothesline and then dropped him with a GTS. The whole thing worked perfectly because of its timing. Just moments earlier, The Rock had announced he would challenge for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. Punk attacking him instantly framed the entire next 6 months as a fight for respect, not just gold. Punk stopped being the scrappy underdog the crowd rallied behind and became something colder, a champion who believed the system, and now even the fans owed him more credit than he was getting. He started using underhanded tactics, attacked Jerry Lawler, and did whatever it took to retain his title. Paul Heyman's addition as his advocate sharpened the character even further. Heyman gave Punk a mouthpiece who could frame every shady finish, every countout, every disqualification as proof that the business itself was conspiring against the best in the world. It turned Punk's title defenses into must-see matches. He retained against John Cena and Big Show at SummerSlam. He got past Ryback at Hell in a Cell. He even fought Vince McMahon himself on an episode of Raw, and his quest for respect became the show's defining story. For the rest of the year, CM Punk remained the central character on Monday nights, defending the title multiple times and also putting out some of his best work on the mic. It was the longest reign WWE had built around a single performer in years, and it worked precisely because Punk never let the character feel stale. But while Punk was dominating as champion, a perfect storm had arrived on Raw earlier that year that changed the entire landscape.
Still mad how I ended, man. I'm sorry, bro. It really just sucks, bro.
Of WWE. After losing to The Rock at WrestleMania 28, John Cena called out the Great One on Raw the next night, but was instead interrupted by Brock Lesnar. Here was a former WWE champion, a force of nature, and UFC heavyweight champion walking back into the company and going right after its top babyface.
Damn.
Lesnar was presented as an ultimate fighting machine, whose only goal was to inflict pain. During his first appearance itself, Lesnar laid...
Honestly, him coming back around this time after his UFC stint kind of legitimized... Fuck. Can't even fucking say the word. Kind of like made him real legit as like a fighter and like more believable that he'll whoop your ass. I mean, we already know he'll whoop somebody's ass around this time. And then coming back around this, and especially this was like I said, you know how Cena was taking all them L's? This was like a huge ass L. I mean, he got a victory out of it, even though honestly, in my situation, I was a kid going, cheering Cena because he won. And I was like mad that he was taking losses because we all were like that as a kid. We wanted Cena to win. But when I grew up, I like realized this was like a dumb thing to do because Brock Lesnar just returned to the company, and you have him lose a crazy big match. Like I think this really wasn't the way to go. When I was a kid, thought differently, but
Cena out with an F5, and the build to their match also saw a chaotic brawl that required the entire locker room to come out to separate the two stars. At Extreme Rules in April, Lesnar faced John Cena in a brutal match that delivered in the ring but undercut the Beast's momentum the moment Cena walked out the winner after striking Lesnar with a chain. Lesnar did not take the loss well, and the show's writers used that anger as the spark for something bigger. The next night on Raw, he turned his frustration toward Triple H, breaking his arm in a vicious attack that took the game off television and gave Lesnar an aura of danger. During Triple H's absence, Lesnar demanded to be presented as the top star on Monday nights, and Raw became Raw Super Show starring Brock Lesnar. The story built toward SummerSlam, where Lesnar and Triple H faced each other in a no-holds-barred match. For 18 minutes, the two men tore into each other with steel steps, sledgehammers, and years of bad blood until Lesnar locked in the Kimura lock and Triple H tapped out. Lesnar walked away from SummerSlam looking exactly like the unstoppable force WWE had promised when he first stepped back through the curtain. But 2012 wasn't only about titles and main event stars, because somewhere else on the roster, a spark was being lit that would engulf the entire wrestling.
And what's crazy after this, I mean, I know he took a huge ass L the first time he came into the company. Came after this was Vince McMahon's promises and going on lengthy ass, despicable runs with the WWE title and not even being there.
World.
Team
Daniel
Hell No.
Bryan's year began with heartbreak. He walked into WrestleMania 28 as World Heavyweight Champion and walked out without the title in 18 seconds, distracted by a kiss from his own on-screen girlfriend, AJ Lee. It was designed...
Look, I'm sorry if I keep pausing, but like, this was another dumb decision, bro. Like, Jesus, you had Sheamus kind of, go over, and you kind of set Sheamus up for the crowd to just like not really like fuck with Sheamus, because they were so passionate about Daniel Bryan even right now. I think this is essentially what sparked like the whole thing coming behind Daniel Bryan. Like, WWE didn't even know what they started when they did this to him. Like this is like the most like weirdest thing to do to somebody, especially around WrestleMania.
To make him look pathetic. Instead, it made the fans furious on his behalf, and that fury turned into something WWE never planned for. The following weeks on Raw and SmackDown, the crowd drowned out the entire show chanting yes over and over, regardless of what was happening in the ring. The chant should have faded within weeks, but it did not. It only kept growing louder. By the summer, Bryan was getting world title shots off the strength of crowd reaction alone, even while still playing a heel, because fans simply refused to boo him anymore. That same chant eventually became the soundtrack to one of the most unexpected partnerships of the year. After a WWE Championship feud versus CM Punk and a turbulent love triangle featuring Kane and AJ Lee, Bryan and Kane were paired together almost as a punishment in an anger management storyline nobody expected to matter. Kane had himself made his return towards the end of 2011 with a new mask and spent the first half of 2012 feuding against names like John Cena, Zack Ryder, and Randy Orton. The dynamic between Bryan, the whiny underdog, and Kane, the demonic monster, felt like bickering roommates forced to share an apartment. It should not have worked, but it did. Team Hell No became tag team champions by the fall, and one of the most entertaining acts on the entire roster simply because both men fully committed to the bit. Chris Jericho.
I'm not gonna cap. I really didn't think this would work either, but like they had some really ridiculous moments, and it paid off. I actually was rooting for them. They were like, I think, weren't they one of among the team that actually gave the Shield their first loss? I gotta check that fact, but I think they did.
Jericho's return added another layer to the year's storytelling. Y2J made his return on the first episode of the year, entered the Royal Rumble match looking every bit ready to win the whole thing before fumbling at the final moment and getting eliminated by Sheamus. That near miss set up his WrestleMania program with Punk and reminded the roster what a veteran heel Jericho could still bring to a major show. The show also had its absurd storylines, like Team Johnny versus Team Teddy and the entire Cena versus John Laurinaitis program, which dragged on for way too long.
Ugh.
Lord Tensai also arrived as a monster heel before being turned into a
It's crazy because we touched up on that WWE who was the best GM match. I mean, who was the best GM, and like I remember that storyline being horrible.
comedy jobber. The mid-card was dominated by names like Cesaro, Rey Mysterio, Santino, Cody Rhodes, and The Miz, while guys like Sheamus, Alberto Del Rio, Jack Swagger, and The Big Show anchored the world title picture. The Miz, in particular, had an awesome Intercontinental title reign that cemented him as one of the most reliable performers in the company. Cesaro, meanwhile, dominated as the US champion, racking up wins against Justin Gabriel, R-Truth, and Zack Ryder. The women's division revolved around names like Eve, Layla, and Caitlyn, and was treated more like an afterthought.
Honestly, if they were really serious about giving Miz like a real better cemented legacy, they will make bro like more go after the Intercontinental title more, bro. Cause like I think he won the Intercontinental title a lot, bro. So like if giving him a legacy about like winning the Intercontinental title like 15 times, bro, that could be his like world championship like title with John Cena or something, bro. That'd be funny, but like we know at this point it can't come true.
Also, in a shocking turn of events, John Cena won the Raw Money in the Bank briefcase, while Dolph Ziggler won the SmackDown version. Cena decided to cash in his title shot at Raw 1000, a night that is widely considered as one of the best episodes in the show's history. We got a DX reunion, the return of The Undertaker, multiple legends returning to destroy Heath Slater, and memorable moments that paid tribute to the show's long history. But nothing reshaped the entire power structure of the show like the wedding segment between AJ Lee and Daniel Bryan, putting one of the most chaotic characters on the roster directly in charge of the brand. Towards the end of the year, AJ would get involved in a controversial storyline with John Cena, but turn heel, aligning with Dolph Ziggler after costing Cena his match versus Ziggler at TLC. However, nothing from the back half of the year mattered more than what happened at Survivor Series in November. As Ryback closed in on reigning champion CM Punk, three men nobody recognized came through the crowd in tactical attire and triple powerbombed him through the announce table. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. The Shield had arrived, and nobody yet knew whose side they were on.
What's crazy, all of them, future world champions, already like cemented, like kind of like when they were about to split, it was already about to be confirmed. They were about to be bigger stars.
In the coming weeks, they answered that question themselves, declaring themselves judge, jury, and executioner for the entire roster. The Shield had an impressive showing at TLC 2012, embarking on an unstoppable winning streak that had defined the next chapter of WWE. Reigns was the powerhouse, Ambrose was the unhinged risk-taker, and Rollins was the strategic architect, and together, the trio became one of the hottest acts in the months that followed. WWE entered 2012 riding on the momentum and star power of its established legends and finished the year with its next generation of stars. Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose would go on to become major players who defined the next era of wrestling. And if you want to...
Man, bro, literally, 2012, what a time to be alive, bro. I really liked 2012, man. And some of these moments really kind of like got me reassuring. Like, I really loved it, bro. Like, these were some of my favorite moments, like especially being a kid around this time. Like, it really was a good ass moment. Well, I could just see some of my favorite moments was just like CM Punk's title reign, the Shield debuting and attacking Ryback and everybody. Like, bro, that's like just, I don't think we'll just like never get a debut like that again, especially expecting like people to be like future world champions too. But like, man, let me know what was your guys' favorite moment from 2012, bro. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the videos, and go check out Wrestle Mafia's channel. And don't forget to subscribe, because we are on the road to 800.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?